Picture this: I'm pounding on a woman's chest, trying to save her life, and next thing I know, I'm in handcuffs. That's my reality, folks. Welcome to Sunnyvale, USA, where the grass is greener than a lime popsicle, and the HOA runs tighter than a drill sergeant's bunk inspection. I'm Jack Thompson, year-old paramedic with 15 years of wrestling folks back from the Grim Reaper. But on one sunny afternoon in 2025, my biggest fight wasn't with death. It was with a clipboard-wielding goon who decided CPR was a threat to neighborhood aesthetics. Let me set the scene. It's a Tuesday hotter than a jalapeno's armpit, and my partner Mike and I get a call to 123 Maple Street. Evelyn Smith, 80 years young, is down in her front yard, heart doing the che instead of the two-step. We screech up in our ambulance, lights flashing like a disco ball, and I'm out the door before Mike can say, "Grab the defibrillator." Evelyn's sprawled on the grass, pale as a ghost, with a crowd of neighbors gawking like it's the Super Bowl halftime show. I drop to my knees, rip open her blouse. "Sorry, Evelyn, no time for modesty," and start CPR. 1, 2, 3, compress, breathe, repeat. My hands are a blur, sweat stinging my eyes, and I'm barking at Mike to prep the AED. Then, like a villain in a bad sitcom, here comes the HOA's rent-a-cop rolling up in his golf cart like he's auditioning for Mall Cop 3. This guy, let's call him Officer Clipboard, has a badge shinier than his personality and a rule book thicker than my mom's meatloaf recipe. He hops out, all puffed up, and hollers, "Cease and desist! You're violating Rule 7.4. All activities must stay within property lines for aesthetic order." I'm mid-compression, counting 28, 29, thinking, is this guy for real? I glance up and he's pointing at me like I'm spray painting graffiti, not saving a life. "Sir," I pant, not breaking rhythm. "I'm a paramedic. She's dying. Back off." But Officer Clipboard's on a power trip, radioing for backup like I'm Al Capone. The neighbors are murmuring now, some shouting, "Let him work," while others, the HOA loyalists, nod like bobbleheads, muttering about standards. Mike's yelling at the guy to chill, but it's like reasoning with a parking meter. Next thing I know, sirens wail. Not ambulance sirens, mind you, but cop sirens, real cops. Because apparently saving Evelyn's life is a 9/11 emergency for the HOA. Sunnyvale's HOA is the stuff of legend, and not the good kind. These folks fine you for planting daisies instead of tulips, ban RV parking like it's a war crime, and once sent a cease and desist to a kid's lemonade stand for unpermitted commerce. I swear their president, Karen White, probably dreams in Times New Roman, drafting violation notices. Rule 7.4. That's their Bible verse for keeping lawns pristine, even if it means letting Evelyn croak on her Kentucky bluegrass. And Officer Clipboard's eating it up, strutting like he's just busted a drug ring. I'm still pumping Evelyn's chest, shouting, "Stay with me, Evelyn," when 2 squad cars pull up. The crowd's a zoo now, phones out, filming like it's a reality show. A cop, looking as confused as a dog chasing its tail, approaches. "Sir, step away," he says like I'm holding a grenade, not a sternum. "Step away." "I'm saving her life!" I snap, but Officer Clipboard's in his ear, waving the HOA handbook like it's the Constitution. "He's trespassing," Clipboard whines. "And causing a public disturbance?" "Trespassing? On a front lawn, for CPR. I'd laugh if I wasn't so pissed." Mike's trying to take over compressions, but he's juggling the 80 pads, and Evelyn's pulse is weaker than my fa signal. I'm begging the cop, "Look at my uniform, paramedic, not prowler." But Karen White herself struts up. "Oh yeah, she's here now," perm bouncing like it's got its own zip code. She's got that HOA president smirk, the kind that says, "I find your mailbox for being too blue, and I'd do it again." She crosses her arms and says, "Rules are rules, Jack. You should have called for permission." Permission? To save a life? I'm half tempted to ask if she's got a permit for that haircut. The absurdity hits me like a brick. I'm in Sunnyvale, Midwest USA, where kids ride bikes, flags wave, and apple pies cool on windowsills. Yet here I am about to be arrested for doing my job. The cop's radio crackles, something about disorderly conduct, and I realize this is happening. Officer, I try one last time, she'll die if I stop. But Karen's whispering to him, probably about how my ambulance is parked 2 inches over her sacred curb line. Before I can say, "Good Samaritan," the cops got my arm and click handcuffs. I'm yanked to my feet, CPR abandoned, while Mike scrambles to take over. Evelyn's looking worse, and my stomach's churning like I ate gas station sushi. The crowd's screaming now, half for me, half against, like it's a damn referendum. "Jack, you're a hero," yells Tom Davis, this retired engineer who got fined for his RV last year. But Karen's loyalists are louder, chanting about hoarder and fines. Officer clipboard's beaming, probably dreaming of a promotion to HOA Gestapo. And Karen, she's watching me get hauled off, smug as a cat with a canary. As they drag me to the squad car, I'm yelling, "Check her pulse, Mike." But it's chaos, sirens, shouts, and Karen's voice cutting through. This is what happens when you disrespect the community. Disrespect. Lady, I'm disrespecting death, not your precious cold D-sack. The cop shoves me in the car, and I catch a glimpse of Evelyn, motionless, as Mike shocks her with the 8-8. My heart's pounding harder than hers should be, and all I can think is, how the hell did saving a life land me here? Ever had an HOA ruin your day over something stupid, like your mailbox color? Drop your story in the comments. Oh, and tell me, what are we watching this on? Phone, PC, or big old TV? Where you at, and what time's it there? Sunnyville's taught me one thing: when the HOAs got you in their sights, you're either a rebel or a rug to walk on. And me, I'm no rug. Stick around, because this fight's just getting started, and Karen's about to learn that handcuffs don't stop a paramedic with a grudge. How does saving a life land you in jail? That's the question gnawing at me as I'm hauled off in handcuffs, my hands still tingling from the CPR I was ripped away from. I'm Jack Thompson, a 47-year-old paramedic with 15 years of wrestling folks back from death's grip, now starring in Sunnyville's absurdist nightmare. 1 minute, I'm fighting to keep Evelyn Smith's heart beating on her front lawn. The next, I'm a criminal because Karen White's HOA thinks saving lives violates their sacred Rule 7.4. This isn't just an arrest, it's the spark of a revenge story, and I'm burning for justice. It's chaos on Maple Street. I'm mid-compression, sweat stinging my eyes, shouting, "Stay with me, Evelyn," when 2 squad cars screech up, lights flashing like a cheap nightclub. The HOA's Rena cop, Officer Clipboard, is practically tap dancing with glee, waving his rulebook like it's a bestseller. My partner, Mike, is fumbling with the AE, looking ready to cry or fight, while neighbors film the scene like it's a reality show. I'm yelling, "I'm a paramedic, not a vandal." But the lead cop, sporting a mustache that screams 1980s prom king, steps forward. "Sir, you're causing a disturbance," he says, as if I'm hosting a kegger, not pumping a grandmother's chest. Disturbance. I snap, not breaking rhythm. Her heart stopped. That's the disturbance. But Karen White strots up, her perm bouncing like it's got its own zip code, clutching her clipboard like a shield. "Rules are rules, Jack," she says, voice dripping with smugness that could curdle milk. Karen's the HOA president, a petty tyrant who'd fine a kid's lemonade stand for unpermitted commerce. And yeah, she did last summer, shutting down Timmy's 2 hustle. She's banned RV parking, ticketed non-compliant Grass Heights, and turned Sunnyville into her personal fiefdom. I try reasoning. "Officer, look at my uniform. She's dying." But Karen's whispering to the cop, probably about how my ambulance is 2 inches over her curb. The arrest report later shows the HOA's contract with local security gives them way too much sway, like, "Call the cops for a rogue tulip," sway. Officer Mustache nods along, ignoring Evelyn's fading pulse. Mike's shouting, "Jack, keep going." But the second cop grabs my shoulder. "Step back, sir. Step back. I'm the only thing keeping Evelyn alive. You're killing her." I yell but click. Cuffs snap on, mid-compression. The crowd gasps like it's a movie twist. Mike dives in to take over, but he's one guy juggling AD pads and CPR like a frantic juggler. Evelyn's lips are bluer than Karen's approved paint swatches, and my stomach's churning. They drag me off, and I'm twisting, shouting, "Mike, shock her at 200 joules." Karen's voice cuts through. "This is what happens when you disrespect the community." Disrespect? I'm disrespecting death, not her cold D-sack. The cop shoves me into the squad car, and I catch Mike zapping Evelyn, praying for a miracle. Did I just lose her because of a glorified hall monitor? The squad car's backseat reeks of stale coffee and bad decisions. Sunnyvale blurs by. Perfect lawns, perfect houses, perfect fascism. Karen's still on the lawn, smirking like I'm a caught shoplifter. The radio crackles, but all I hear is Evelyn's fading heartbeat. Mike's alone, and I'm powerless, trussed up like a Thanksgiving turkey. I'm picturing Karen's next newsletter. Local man disrupts harmony with unsanctioned life saving. She'd probably fine me for sweating on Evelyn's grass, $25 for excessive perspiration. But the stakes are brutal. Evelyn's life, my job, and Sunnyvale's soul are on the line, and I'm not going down without a fight. I'm bailed out by morning, stepping into sunlight that feels too bright for the mess I'm in. My phone's exploding. News outlets screaming, "Paramedic arrested saving woman." I expect a hero's welcome, but Sunnyvale's split like a cracked windshield. My neighbor Tom Davis, a retired engineer fined for his RV last year, waits on my porch with a six-pack. "Jack, you're a legend," he says, handing me a beer. "Karen's newsletter calls your CPR an unsanctioned public disturbance. Wanna frame it?" I laugh, because crying's not an option. The Sunnyvale Sentinel reads like propaganda, claiming I disrupted community harmony, like I was joyriding a monster truck, not saving Evelyn. Tom's leading a rebellion, starting a 5 Free Jack petition with 200 signatures and climbing. He's still raw about Karen fining his RV for aesthetic blight, even parked behind a fence. She measured it with a ruler, Jack. He says, eyes blazing. "A ruler. We bond over her tyranny." Mrs. Lopez got hit for unapproved. Roses Mr. Patel for too reflective solar panels. It's a ragtag crew. And I'm their accidental mascot. Tom's got neighbors signing up, whispering about Karen's reign like it's a police state. "We're with you," he says, and I feel a spark. Maybe I'm not alone, but Karen's loyalists are louder, flooding the neighborhood Facebook group with garbage about protocol. Protocol for CPR. Gary, a guy with 3 beige sedans, posts, "Jack endangered us by defying Rule 7.4. What's next? Ambulances on lawns." I'm banned from the group after calling Karen's rules tyranny in Times New Roman. But I'm itching to reply, "Yeah, Gary, maybe we'll save your life next time you choke on your kale." Tom talks me down. "Save it for the fight," he says, and he's right. This is war, not a comment thread. Good Samaritan laws should have my back. Illinois Statute 745 ILCS 49 says I'm protected for emergency care. But Karen's lawyers twist it, claiming I exceeded reasonable bounds by performing CPR in public. It was Evelyn's yard, not a stage. A Free Jack's trending locally, with memes of me in cuffs next to HOA heroes out, aesthetics in. A gif of Karen's perm bouncing labeled, "The Real Crime," almost makes me smile. But Evelyn's daughter calls, voice breaking. "You should have fought harder to stay." She says the arrest delayed care. Evelyn's on a ventilator. I get her anger. Grief's a beast, but it cuts deep. My boss is muttering about suspension pending review, like I chose the cuffs. I'm staring at a future flipping burgers, all because Karen thinks CPR needs a permit. The neighborhood's a soap opera. Mrs. Lopez slips me a "keep fighting" note at the store, but Gary glares like I'm smuggling contraband. Kids spray paint, Free Jack, on sidewalks, and Karen's fining it as vandalism. Tom's petition hits 500 signatures, and he's planning a protest at the HOA meeting. "We'll bring the RV," he winks. "Let her fine me now." Public records show the HOA's raked in $50,000 in fines since 2023, funding their goons and Karen's clipboard empire. Neighbors whisper about her reign. Finding Mrs. Lopez's chihuahua, ticketing Tom's shadow. It's a powder keg and I'm the match, cuffed but unbowed. As I crash on my couch scrolling through free Jack posts, I'm torn between rage and hope. Karen's got power, but cracks are showing. Neighbors whispering, memes spreading, Tom's rebellion growing. Evelyn's still fighting in the ICU, and I'm fighting for her, for me, for every poor sap find for a rogue daisy. This fallout's ugly, but it's lighting a fire, and I'm ready to fan the flames until Karen's HOA empire's nothing but ash. Can you sue an HOA and win? Or are they untouchable? That's the question I'm wrestling with as I sit at my kitchen table. The weight of Sonneville's split loyalties pressing on my chest. I'm Jack Thompson, the paramedic who got cuffed for saving Evelyn Smith's life, now neck deep in a $10 million lawsuit against Karen White's HOA empire. The fallout's been brutal. Half the town's chanting "Fay Free Jack," the other half clutching Karen's rulebook like a lifeline. But this fight's about to hit the courtroom, and I'm ready to turn revenge into justice, one savage cross-examination at a time. It starts with a visit from Mark Johnson, my lawyer and legal pit bull, who storms into my house with a grin that says he's smelled blood. "Jack," he says, slapping down a stack of papers, "you're not just a paramedic, you're a walking lawsuit. That HOA screwed you, and we're hitting them for 10 mil. I choke on my coffee. 10 million's more than Sonneville spends on its obsession with perfect lawns. But Mark's dead serious, citing Illinois' emergency laws 745 ILCS 20 that make interfering with paramedics a legal landmine. "Karen's goons stopped you mid-CPR, he says. "That's not just dumb, it's actionable." He lists the charges: wrongful arrest, negligence, emotional distress, and I'm sold, picturing Karen's perm wilting under a judge's glare. We file that afternoon, and by nightfall, the courthouse clerk's gossiping louder than a church potluck. Karen doesn't flinch. She countersues, claiming I traumatized the community by performing CPR in public. CPR's not a flash mob, it's a lifeline, but their filing whines about aesthetic disruption and emotional harm. Mark reads it aloud like bad stand-up, cackling at their nerve. "They're saying your compressions messed up Evelyn's grass vibes," he says. "I'm dying. Karen's probably got a bylaw banning heart attacks for visual discord. The media loves it. HOA Vess hero hits local news, then national, with my mugshot next to Karen's smirking headshot, her perm stealing the spotlight. Fas Avcero trends with memes of Karen as a cartoon dictator, clipboard raised like a guillotine. I'm on morning shows biting my tongue when they ask, why arrest a lifesaver? Twitter's a riot. Someone photoshops me as Captain America shield labeled defibrillator. Karen's legal team, led by Harold, a weasel who irons his socks, looks like they're prepping for a funeral. Mark's dug up dirt, public records showing 75,000 in HOA fines since 2023 for nonsense like unapproved birdhouses. Harold pushes community standards, but Mark's got a 2023 case, Johnson v. Oakwood, where an HOA ate dirt for blocking a fire truck. Precedence hours. Mark whispers at the prelim hearing. The judge, a woman who seems allergic to perms, raises an eyebrow when Harold stammers. My job's still shaky. My boss wants no more incidents. And Evelyn's family's silent, their ICU vigil haunting me. The lawsuit's my lifeline, covering lost wages, therapy for the cuffs, and punitive damages to burn Karen's ego to ash. Sonneville's a tinderbox. Tom Davis's petition hits 800 signatures, and Mrs. Lopez slips me empanadas, whispering sue him to the moon. Karen's loyalists, led by Gary with his beige sedans, plant support Rule 7.4 signs like it's a cult. Kids spray paint a free Jack, earning Karen's vandalism fines. Mark finds a 2024 complaint. Karen fined Christmas lights for excessive joy. She's a control freak, he says. Juries hate that. The prelim's a circus. Harold claims I scared neighbors. but the judge's skeptical glare says she's not buying it. Donations to a free Jack cover my fees, and Tom's pitching a documentary. You're a folk hero, he says. I just want my job and Evelyn's heartbeat back. The trial kicks in, and it's a spectacle. Think Gladiator Arena with better lighting. The courtroom's packed, neighbors, reporters, a sketch artist turning me into a comic hero. Mark's pacing, Karen's clutching a notebook. Her clipboard's retired, and Harold's calm over's fighting gravity. The judge bangs her gavel, and we're rolling. Mark calls Tom first, who takes the stand in flannel, recounting Karen's $300 RV fine for a shadows intrusion. She photographed it, Tom says, holding up the evidence. The jury chuckles. Harold objects, but the judge's eye roll shuts him down. Tom paints Karen as a bully with a ruler fetish, and jurors nod. Most are locals sick of HOA fines for wrong mailboxes. Patel, Evelyn's ICU doc, is next, dropping a gut punch. My arrest delayed care, nearly killing her. Mr. Thompson's CPR was textbook, he says. Removing him tanked her oxygen levels. Mark shows a chart. Evelyn's vitals crashing when I was cuffed. Jurors gasp. Karen's notebook trembles. Harold tries blaming Evelyn's age, but Patel's firms. Interrupting CPR did this. Then it's Karen's turn, and Mark's like a kid unwrapping presents. She swears in perm bouncing and lies. I didn't know he was a paramedic. My uniform screamed it in neon. Mark holds up a photo, me, mid-CPR, Paramedic, blazing. This didn't tip you off, he asks. Karen stammers about chaos, but Mark's relentless, citing HOA fines for Mrs. Lopez's Chihuahua, a puppy deemed a threat. You fined a dog for existing, he presses. The jury's snickering. Karen's flailing, voice climbing like a soap opera diva. Standards must be upheld, she snaps, perm quivering. Mark pulls out the 2023 fire truck case, showing Karen's bylaws overstep state law. Your rules block emergencies, don't they? Karen's sweating, muttering about values, but the judge's eye rolls are stealing the show. She's a GF in waiting. I'm picturing Karen's newsletter. Local woman heroically defends grass from CPR. Her meltdown's gold. She's waving her arms like she's directing a hurricane. Harold's useless, his calm over wilting. The jury, fed up with HOA nonsense, nods along, one guy scribbling like he's got his own Karen story. My job's still on ice, and Evelyn's family watches silently. I'm fighting for them too, despite their blame. Harold tries a desperate move, calling Gary, who whines my CPR scared, his kids with blood. Mark counters with body cam footage, no blood, just me begging to save Evelyn. Gary slinks off, probably to polish his sedans. Karen's lawyer hints at my procedural errors, but Mark slams back with my 15-year record, 0 complaints, 3 commendation. The judge's pen taps like a countdown. Outside, Fair Free Jack signs clash with Karen's order now, banners. Tom's rallying with Mrs. Lopez's cookies. Social media's wild. KF0 at 50,000 tweets. But Karen's got one last expert witness coming, and I'm sweating. Her cash could still pull a trick. Mark's calm, whispering, "We've got this." I'm not so sure, but I'm ready to fight until the gavel drops. Will justice hit? Or does the HOA dodge again? That's the question hanging over Sonneville's courtroom like a storm cloud ready to burst. I'm Jack Thompson, the paramedic who got cuffed for daring to save Evelyn Smith's life, now sitting through the final act of this $10 million lawsuit against Karen White's HOA tyranny. The trial's been a circus. Tom's RV horror stories, Dr. Patel's medical bombshells, and Karen's perm flopping under Mark's cross-examination like a bad sitcom. After days of nail-biting deliberation, the jury's back, and I'm braced for either a knockout punch or another HOA sucker shot. The courtroom's a pressure cooker, packed tighter than Karen's rulebook. Neighbors are whispering, reporters scribbling, and that sketch artist still turning me into Captain Paramedic. Mark Johnson, my lawyer, is cool as a cucumber, but I'm sweating enough to violate HOA moisture regulations. Karen sits across the aisle, her clipboard demoted to a notebook, her perm looking like it's begging for a vacation. Her lawyer, Harold, with his calm over clinging to life, keeps shooting her nervous glances. The judge, whose eye rolls could power a wind farm, calls for order, and the jury files in. Their faces are blank, poker players with my future in their hands. The foreperson, a woman with glasses thick enough to spot Mars, stands. My heart's pounding harder than I did on Evelyn's chest. On the count of wrongful arrest, she reads, we find the Sonneville HOA liable. The room gasps. Mark grips my shoulder. On negligence and emotional distress liable. I'm dizzy now, barely hearing. 10 million in damages, lost wages, trauma and punitive costs. 10 million! The crowd erupts. Cheers from Tom's rebel crew, groans from Karen's loyalists. The judge bangs her gavel, but I'm floating. We did it. We freaking did it. Karen's face is a masterpiece of defeat. Her perm seems to sag, like even her hair knows it's over. Harold's muttering to her, probably billing for his panic attack, but she's staring at the floor, her clipboard dreams shattered. The judge drops the hammer. The HOA's dissolved. Effective immediately, to be replaced by a new board elected by residents. Dissolved. It's like hearing the Death Star blew up. Karen's ousted, her reign done, and I'm fighting the urge to high-five the entire jury. Mark leans over, whispering, punitive damages are for sending a message. Message sent. Hell yeah, it was. The verdict's no fluke. It aligns with real cases like a 2021 Florida A that coughed up millions for blocking emergency access, per Mark's research. My 10 million covers legal fees, lost shifts from my suspension scare, and therapy for the joy of being cuffed mid-CPR. It's not just money, it's justice, a middle finger to every fine Karen ever slapped on a rogue daisy. The jury, mostly locals, got it. They've lived under OA thumbs, dodging tickets for unapproved bird feeders. One juror, the mullet guy, winks at me as he leaves like we're co-conspirators in a lawnmower rebellion. Outside, Sunnyville's a party. Neighbors spill onto the courthouse steps, and Tom's leading an impromptu block party. Someone's got a grill going, and Mrs. Lopez is passing out empanadas like victory medals. No more Karen. Tom shouts, hoisting a beer, and the crowd roars. Kids are chalking, free Jack, on the sidewalk. Even Gary, the big sedan loyalist, looks sheepish, muttering about reconsidering. Rule 7.4. I'm swarmed, handshakes, hugs, a grandma pressing cookies into my hands. It's cathartic, like Sunnyville's exiling after years of holding its breath. Humor's my lifeline, so I'm picturing Karen slinking to a condo where she can't find the wallpaper for excessive floral. Her lawyer's probably drafting a bill for losing $500 for failure to maintain calm under stress. I quipped to Tom that we should frame the verdict as Sunnyville's first CPR permit, and he cackles, suggesting a statue of me defibrillating Karen's ego. But the real wins deeper. Evelyn's recovering, and her family sent a thank you note that hits me harder than the verdict. You fought for Mom, it says. We see that now. I'm not crying. You're crying. The aftermath's surreal. Media's camped out. CNN's calling it HOA's Waterloo, and Fishov's heroes at a million tweets. There's a meme of Karen's perm as a tumbleweed rolling out of town, and I'm saving it for my fridge. The new board's already forming, with Tom pushing for no fines for RVs or heroism. It's a new Sunnyville, and I'm not just a paramedic. I'm the guy who took down Goliath with a stethoscope. But Karen, word is she's packing, muttering about ungrateful neighbors. Good riddance. I joke she'll start an HOA for her new condo's hallway, finding mirrors for reflections. Realism keeps it grounded. The damages are hefty but fair. My job's safe now, and the payouts funding therapy and a new rig for my station, per Mark's advice. COA dissolutions happen when they overreach. A 2022 Texas case saw one implode for less. The block party's no exaggeration. Sunnyville's got a history of street fairs, and this one's got extra spice. Evelyn's note mirrors real stories of families reconciling after legal fights, and it's got me choked up, thinking of her fighting back in the ICU. As night falls, the party's still raging. Someone's blasting Springsteen, and Tom's RV is parked proudly, no fines in sight. I'm sipping a beer, watching kids dance under string lights, when a reporter asks, "What's next, Jack?" I grin, thinking of the fight ahead. Karen's gone, but HOAs like hers aren't. Keep saving lives, I say, and maybe torch a few dumb rules. The crowd cheers, and I'm hit with a wave of pride. This verdict's not just mine. It's for every neighbor who's battled a Karen, every kid fined for a lemonade stand, every life hung up on red tape. The stakes were high, but the payoff's electric. The HOA's toast Karen's history, and Sunnyvale's free. Well, freer. I'm back to work tomorrow, no cuffs in sight, and Evelyn's notes tucked in my pocket, a reminder of why I fought. This revenge wasn't just sweet, it was life-saving, and I'm ready for whatever's next. Probably a nap, but after that, who knows? Standing up changes everything. What would you do? I'm Jack Thompson, the paramedic who turned Sunnyvale's HOA into a cautionary tale with a $10 million lawsuit that sent Karen White and her perm packing. The verdict still ringing in my ears like a victory bell. HOA dissolved, Karen ousted. Neighbors throwing a block party wilder than a Springsteen encore. But winning's just the start. Now it's about what comes next. And I'm not just resting on my laurels. This revenge story's got legs, and I'm running with it, fueled by coffee justice and a grudge against clipboard tyrants everywhere. The dust settles and Sunnyvale's got a new vibe, less fascist cul-de-sac, more live and let live. I'm back at my kitchen table, the same one where Mark Johnson hatched our lawsuit plan, but now it's covered in thank you notes instead of legal briefs. One's from Evelyn Smith, recovering in rehab, her handwriting shaky but fierce. "You gave me another shot, Jack. Keep fighting." It's pinned to my fridge, right next to a for free Jack meme of Karen's perm as a UFO. The 10 million's real. 2 million for me after taxes and fees, covering lost wages, therapy for the handcuff trauma, and a new couch that doesn't scream, "Divorced bachelor." The rest. I'm not blowing it on a yacht. I'm starting the Thompson First Responders Fund, a lifeline for paramedics tangled in legal BS like mine. Think GoFundMe, but for heroes stuck in red tape. The fund's no pipe dream. EMS advocacy groups like the National EMS Memorial Foundation already do this, and I'm modeling mine on their grit. I'm talking to lawyers, setting up a board, even roping in Tom Davis, my RV find rebel pal, who's got a knack for rallying underdogs. Call it Karen's karma. Tom jokes, but I go classier. Thompson Fund sounds like it means business. First grant goes to a Chicago EMT sued for trespassing while saving a kid from a fire. I write the check myself and it feels better than any paycheck. Karen's legacy. Fines and fear. Mine's gonna be lives saved, no permit required. But I'm not stopping at checks. I'm taking this fight to DC, testifying before a congressional subcommittee on HOA reform. Yeah, me, in a suit, no stethoscope, telling senators about emergency access laws. Karen cuffed me mid-CPR. I say, holding up my old arrest report. That's not order. It's chaos. The room's quiet, except for one senator muttering. My HOA fined my flagpole. I pitch a federal bill. Think Florida's 2024 OA curbs, but nationwide, banning HOAs from blocking first responders. It's a long shot, but the crowd's with me and a few reps are nodding. Back home, Faye Jack in DC trends with a gif of me pointing like Uncle Sam. I want you to ditch dumb rules. Sunnyvale's new board is a breath of fresh air. No fines for RV parking, no bans on unapproved roses. Tom's on it, pushing for a arrow clause to protect folks like me. The block party spirit lingers. Kids ride bikes without fear of citations and Mrs. Lopez's Chihuahua roams free. No breed violation. Nonsense. It's not utopia, but it's close, and I'm proud to call it home. The media's still buzzing. NPR does a segment on the paramedic who broke the HOA, and I'm dodging podcast invites like they're Karen's newsletters. One headline nails it: from handcuffs to handshakes, Jack's revenge reshapes Sunnyvale. Humor keeps me grounded, so I'm joking about naming the fund Karen's Kryptonite, before settling on something less petty. I picture her in her new condo, finding her microwave for unauthorized beeping. Word is she's moved to a high-rise, no HOA to rule, just a doorman who probably hates her already. I'm cackling with Tom over beers, imagining her drafting bylaws for the elevator. Rule wanting no smiling, he says, and we toast to her exile. But the real laugh's on me. Local kids call me Captain CPR, and I'm signing autographs at the grocery store. Me, a celebrity. I'd rather defibrillate a mannequin. Then comes the twist, and it's a doozy. I'm at the station checking my rig when Evelyn rolls up, literally in a wheelchair, but with a spark in her eyes that says she's back. She's 80, spry as hell, and drops a bomb. I quit the HOA 5 years ago. Jack saw Karen's corruption early, fining widows for wrong curtains. My jaw's on the floor. Evelyn, the victim of my arrest, was a rebel before me. She hands me a folder. Old HOA minutes showing Karen's scams, like pocketing fine money for consulting fees. Use this, she says, grinning like a fox. I'm with you. I'm floored. She's joining the fund, speaking at our first fundraiser, roasting her old HOA pals like a pro. It's redemption wrapped in a zinger. Proof even foes can flip. Evelyn's arc isn't fiction. Think 2023's viral HO whistleblower Granny from Texas who exposed her board's kickbacks. Her files are gold. Mark's already using them to warn other HOAs. Mess with us, get burned. The fund's off the ground. 50,000 raised in a month. With Evelyn's speech going viral, Karen thought she owned us. Jack proved she didn't. I'm blushing, but she's right. This isn't just my win. It's Sunnyvale's, Evelyn's, every neighbor's who's dodged a fine for breathing too loud. The realism's humbling. OA reform's a slog. States like California are debating bills, but progress is slow. My fund's small but growing, mirroring real groups like the EMS Legal Defense Fund. Sunnyvale's board is legit. Public records show 0 fines since the verdict, a first in a decade. And Evelyn, she's my new hero, proof people can change. I'm back at work, saving lives, no cuffs in sight, but I'm different, bolder, ready to call out nonsense. The station's got a new nickname for me. Oh, Slayer. I'm not arguing. As I crash on my couch, scrolling Faye Jack and DC posts, I'm reflecting. Revenge was sweet, but rebuilding's sweeter. New board, new fund, new ally in Evelyn. Karen's a memory, her clipboard rusting somewhere. I'm not done. HOAs are still out there, finding joy into submission. But Sunnyvale's proof. Fight back and you can win. I'm sipping a beer, picturing Karen's condo life and grinning. She lost. We didn't.